Hi everyone, welcome again to the Django and React full stack series. And in this episode, we are going to work on deploying our web app straight to the cloud instead. So right now, we are going to deploy this application on render.com. So we'll deploy the backend and the front end on render.com. So this tutorial is going to be a complete guide on how to deploy a full stack web application built with Django and React. So without further ado, let's get started right now. So if I proceed, I added a page called the not found page. So if you try accessing a route that does not exist, if you try accessing any random route that does not exist, you'll be brought down to the not found page. So here is a page here. So over to your app.gxs. Let me close this file. Over to the parent component, which is the app.gxs. I added a new route. Here's a new route here. Understand? So if you there's a new route. So if you visit a wrong route that does not exist, you'll be brought to this page called you'll be brought down to this not found page. You get, so that is how it's meant to be. So instead of you seeing a blank or a white page, you're going to see this page as a not as the you're going to see this page that tells you that the route you are trying to access is not correct. Hope you get. So right now, let's deploy our application. So first thing first, we are going to start with the backend. So we're coming over to the backend first. Understand? So yeah, so what's the first thing we need to do? So what do we need first now? So we need to install a package called Gunicon. So Gunicon is used to run our server in production. Understand? So Gunicon helps us run our server in production. You get. So make sure you have your virtual environment activated, and then run this command pip install Gunicon. Sorry, I didn't run that. Pip install. Make this bigger. Okay, pip install Gunicon. So hit enter. So right now Gunicon is being installed. Okay, I already have Gunicon installed. You can see it says here requirement already satisfied. Okay, that's fine. So what's the next step? What's the next thing we're meant to do? So we need to simply create our file called we need to simply add Gunicon to this file called requirement.txt. So if you don't have this file, don't worry. Just simply run this command pip freeze, then this greater than sign, the greater tan sign. So I'm going to say pip freeze, and then the sign, and then you say requirement.txt. So this file contains all the packages that is required to run our application. All this file contains, right? So just hit enter. So right now I'm trying to add Gunicon to my already made list. Understand? You understand? So as for you, if you don't have the file, you can simply just run pip freeze to generate the file. Now we have Gunicon installed, already have the requirements file ready. So what's the next step? So right now we need to go configure our static files, right? So go over to your settings.py file. So just under the static URL over here, you're going to just say static underscore roots should be equal to, we're going to say base directory / static. Make sure it is called static because render watches for the static folder. So make sure it is called static, right? So you've done that now. So you need to go over to your url.py file in your Django project. So open it, your url.py file. So over here, we did this for the media URL and for the media routes. This line you see here, we are going to duplicate it for the static routes. So install the media URL. We are going to have the static URL. It's important, and this is going to be the static route, right? The static routes. So yeah, that's one step. And back to your settings.py file, over to your allowed hosts. So I'll simply just add this asterisk here. So it's going to accept whichever host we have there. So just add this line there, this asterisk in quotes. So that's it. So okay, back to our code now. So in the root in the root directory, the same place where you have your requirements file, the same place where you have the manage.py file, your database, you're going to create a new file. I'm going to call the file build, then build in small letter. I'm going to say build.sh, and then I'm going to paste in this code here. So yeah, just pasting the code here. This one helps us to install our requirements. Like it helps us to install the content of our requirement.txt file. Understand? That's what the first command does. So this other one helps us to run the collect. It helps us to run the collect static command. That's for our start. That's for the static files. And the last one helps us to migrate our database, right? So this command now, the reason for this file is because we are trying to run multiple commands. So the best way to do it is to store the commands in a file, right? So yeah, that's it. So now the next thing you have to do now is to push your code to GitHub. So push your code to GitHub, and once you've done that, so proceed. So I'm going to simply update my repository on GitHub. I'll open a new Git terminal, Git bash. Okay, so right now I have my Git terminal open. So I'm going to simply update my Git repository. So I'm going to say git add then dots, and then also git commits. I'll just say prepping for deployments. So as for you guys, make sure you push your code to GitHub. For me, I already have my code on GitHub, so I'm trying to update the code I have on GitHub. So as for you, if you don't have your code on GitHub, you have to push your code first before you can do any of this. Right. So for me, I'm trying to update my already existing code on GitHub, right? So then I'm gonna say git push origin main, git push origin main, then hit enter. So right now, so I just push to GitHub. So I'll go over to my browser. Let's look up GitHub, github.com. Where are you? So my GitHub is here. So I'll simply open, let me check out right now, check out my repositories. So right now, here is this is the repository. This white seed portfolio API. Open it. So here we have. So I just pushed this. I just made some updates. And you can see in the last 1 minute, we just pushed our latest updates, prepping for deployment. So I think we are good to go now. So over to render. Go on your browser. Look up render.com. So if you don't have an account, simply sign up using your GitHub account. I recommend you sign up with your GitHub account. That's fast and quick. It's fast and easy. You get so once you are logged in, I'll simply click on dashboard on the top right. Okay, so it's loading. Yeah, so right now, I'm going to create a new project. There's no matter. Let's just create a new project. Okay. Okay, don't worry. Right now, we are trying to use a free plan. So I already have a project called Portfolio. So if I add a new one, it's asking I make payment. So I already have a project called Portfolio. So that's why we're going to use that like that. So we're going to use this project like that. So don't worry about creating projects. It's not a must to create a project. It's not a must at all. So once you click on the dashboard, remember we came from here. Remember we have to click on dashboard on the top right. All right, click on dashboard. And we are here now. So once you're here, it is not a must for you to create a project. No. So on the nav bar on top here, you see we have this new button. Click on it, then select web service. Web service, right? We want to pick our GitHub repository. We want to pick it. So click on the credentials on the right. Click on these credentials, then select GitHub, configure GitHub. right? So we're gonna be logged into GitHub. So right now I am logged into my own GitHub account. So as for you, if you're not logged in, it's gonna ask you for your password to log in to GitHub, right? It's gonna ask you for your GitHub password to log in. So as for me, I already logged in. So I'm gonna pick my account here, go with cleansing, click on it. So right now we're here now. So just scroll down, you're gonna see select repositories. So right now, we are trying to select. We're not picking all our repositories. So click on this drop down. The name of the repository is called yt_deffolio. So yes, it's yt_deffolio_ API. So here is it. So just select this. You can see right now, you can see it's up here, and then just scroll down and then click on save. So we are being redirected back to render. So right now we are on render now, and you can see now our repository on render yt_deffolio_ API. So click on it and then scroll down, click on connect. So it's loading now. So I'll just come over here and I'm going to give this a unique name. I'll just call it deffolio_ API. That's fine. So it's asking us to pick a project. So you can see this is optional. So I will just pick the folio. But it is optional. It is not a must. If you don't pick, it's fine. So as for the build command, the build command is going to be, so it's going to be sh build.sh. So right now we are referring to the file we created, this build.sh file for the build command. So you have to first of all put in sh, then build.sh. As for the start command, that's going to be Gunicon, then the name of your Django project, which is my own is called, our Django project is for me now, my Django project is called new_Django_ API. This is the folder that holds my settings.py file. That's the Django project. The folder that holds your settings.py file is your Django project. So mine is called new_Django_ API. So back here, I'm going to say Gunicon, then new_Django_ API, and we'll say .wsgi, right? Then I'm going to say application. So if we check closely, this WSGI is also in the same location as our settings.py file. They are both inside of the Django project, which is new Django API, which is new_Django_ API. Understand? So that's that. So I think we're making progress now. So what's the next step? So right now we are going to go with the free plan. So remember this is just a tutorial. We are trying things out. So we are gonna go with the free plan. So yeah, so now click on that and then scroll down and click on deploy web service. So let's wait for it to deploy. So it's gonna take some few minutes. It's not gonna take time. So currently it is building. So once it's done building, it's going to deploy it and then we'll see if we are good to go. So we're going to give this some time to build and then deploy our web app to the cloud. So let's wait for it. So right now it's still building and currently it's saying in progress. So it's now deploying. So it is almost done. It's almost done with the deployment. So let's wait. So right now you can see it says your service is live. So I think we are good to go. I really hope this does not throw any error. So it says right now it says your service is live. So scroll back up. You can see here's our URL. Here's the backend URL. Just copy it, go down to a new tab, and then paste it. Let's see. So now let's go down to /admin. Let's see our admin. Hit enter. So perfect. Now you can see we have our admin now. So right now I'm trying to check out our let me see one right now. I'm trying to see any of our endpoints. Let me just open the blog up. Okay, let's go down to blog lists. Let's see what it looks like. Blog list, blog underscore list. So blog underscore lists. It's enter. Perfect. Now you can see now right now we have successfully deployed the backend to the cloud. So here's the live URL. So this backend can be accessed from anywhere in the world. So the backend is live. So right now let's get the front end to be live also. Okay guys, so right now we just finished deploying the backend on render. So right now it's time for us to deploy the front end. So let's do that right away. So earlier I said that we made a new route for the not found page, and the not found page can be found in the pages folder. We have a new page called not found. So if you go to a wrong route, you'll be redirected to the not found page, right? You'll be redirected to the not found page. So that's what we did there. So that's that. So now you go over to your api.js file, your api.js file. Yeah, here's the file. Now you can see now our base URL has been pointing to the local URL, to the development URL. But right now, our backend is now live. It now has a live URL, right? So right now, I want to configure this now to make sure that if we are on VS Code, if we are currently working on our VS Code, I want to make sure that we are using the local URL. But if you are live, if our app is live, I want to switch over to this live URL. So right now, we're going to do that. We're going to work on that configuration quickly. So right now, our aim now is to know when we are. So right now, the goal now is that whenever we're working on development environments, we want to use the local URL. But if you're in production, we want to use the live URL we got from render. So that's that. So right now you can see right now there is a message here. It says currently we are using render's free version, their free plan, right? And it says here, it says your free instance will spin down with inactivity, which can delay requests by 50 seconds or more. Let's assume after deploying the site, you leave the site without doing anything. Let's say you just, after deploying, you close the site and you are out. By the time you come back to the site will take time to load back. It will take time to load the data. That's because you're on a free plan. It will take time. So that's how it is now. So if after deploying and your site is taking time to fetch data, that's because you're on a free plan, and that's happened because of inactivity. You can see render them. So they said this. You can see this. They said it over here. It has been said here. So just take note of that. Okay, so back to our front end now. So what we are going to do now, we are going to use environment variables to know when to switch between the local URL of our backend and the live URL of the backend. So back to our code now. In the root directory, the same place where we have our vit config. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to just say .env, and I'll create another one called .env.production. So the first .env is for the development environment, and just here we just say right now we are trying to configure this base URL. Just copy it back to your .env file. Just over here, we're going to say vits underscore base URL should be equal to HTTP. This is for the development URL. HTTP then 127.0.0.1, then port 8001. This is for the development environment. So back to the for production, I'm going to say vits underscore base underscore URL should be equal to. So we're going to copy the live URL, copy it, and then paste it here. So make sure there is no space in between. Very important. So back to our api.js now. So far, we're going to just say, import .meta.env, and then we'll say .vits underscore base underscore URL. So that's it. That's all you have to do here. So now we're done with this now. So right now we're able to configure between the local URL and the live URL, right? So the next step you have to do now is this now. So right now we're going to run the command, open a new command prompt. So you're going to run this command npm run build npm run build. Hit enter. Npm run build. So right now it's trying to run the build, so we're waiting for it. So right now it's building up our files, building up the code. So it might take some time, but let's wait for it. So right now it is building up our files for production, getting our files ready for production. That's what it's trying to do. So after this is done, or after once this command is done running, I'm gonna have a folder called dist. And that folder contain all the necessary build files for production, for deployment you get. So let's wait for it. So right now I think it's done building. And we check now, we have a new folder now called dist. So this contains the built up files, right? So now I think we are good to go. We are good to go now. So as usual, we have to push our code to GitHub. But before we push, go down to your git ignore. There's a file called git ignore. Yeah, so we have to add this .env to the file. .env. Remember, you are not meant to push your environment. You are not meant to push your environment variables to GitHub. No, that's not a good practice. So you're going to add .git.env, and then let's push now. So to push, I'm putting a new git terminal, git bash. So right now we're going to push now. We're going to say git add dots. Then we're going to say git commit. Just say prepping for deployments. And then I'll say git push origin. So currently this series has the source code episode by episode, and we have the main branch as the base branch, right? That has all the codes, right? So right now I'm going to push this code first to this branch called episode 17. I'm going to say git push origin episode underscore 17. And then I'll have to switch over to the main branch to merge this new episode. So let's try push this to episode 17 first. So it has been pushed, and I'm going to say then git checkout. I'm going over to the main branch, git checkout main. So currently now we're on the main branch, and I'll say git merge episode 17. Then I'll say, then I'm going to say git push origin main. So let's wait for it to push. So right now we just pushed up to GitHub, and we pushed now to the main branch. So I'm going to open our GitHub now. Let's check out, click on your repositories. So yeah, here's our code now. This Django React full project 2025. Click on it, open it, and let's see. You can see we just made a new push, and you can see we have about 18 branches from episode 1 to 17, including the main branch. Everything 18 branches in total. That's perfect. That's awesome. So now, yeah, so it's time for us to deploy, right? So back to render. So I'll close this. Render.com. Back to render. So once you're on render, click on this dashboard on the top right. Click on it. Okay, so you are brought back to render. Come on. So we are here. So click on the new button on top. Click on it. So this time we're going to pick. This time we're going to go with static sites. Static sites. So click on static sites. So we're going to select right now. We have to pick our repository. So then click on credentials on the right. Click on it, and then configure GitHub. Okay, we're here now. So I'm going to right now. I am going to select code with cleansing. Select code with cleansing. Then we'll scroll down, and right now we have to select our repositories. Select now, and it's called Django, right? The name is called Django underscore React. Full project. Yeah, yeah, it's a project. Yeah, it's yeah. Django React Full Project 2025. Django React Full Project 2025. So click on it and then save. Okay, it's almost done. So it's loading. Okay, still loading. So right now you can see we have Django React Full Project now. We have it here. So click on it and then scroll down and click on Connect. So let's wait for it. Still loading. So yeah, so right now we're going to give our app a name. We're going to call it Defolio. Defolio, yeah. And scroll down. So it's asking us to pick a project. So you can simply pick Defolio if you want to. Click on Defolio. It's not a must, right? So scroll down. And as for the build now, we're going to pick. We're going to say dist. That's the folder that we had generated for us. This folder. This folder over here. So we're gonna simply reference the folder here. Also, as for the published directory, we have to say dist, and then right now we have to add an environment variable. Remember our vit base URL. So we have to add this. We have to add this as an environment variable. We just copy it now. Because remember, we are not pushing our env. Because if you remember, we are not pushing our env file to GitHub. So we have to add these environment variables down to render. So the name is called vidbase URL. And the value is just copy this backend URL, copy it, and then we'll paste it here. Yeah, so that's it. I think that's it. And then right now it's time for us to deploy our sites. Click on deploy sites. So this might take some time, but we have to wait for it. So it's building. So we're going to wait for it to build. Okay, still building. It is almost done. It's almost done with the building. So right now our build is being uploaded. So it's uploading the build. And right now it says your site is live. Wow. So let's see. The site is live. So scroll up. Here's the URL. Copy it. I just opened it. A new tab. So yeah, I think it's live. But right now we cannot fetch our data. We cannot fetch the data yet. Do you know why? I'm going to explain why. So right now our data is we can't right now we are not connected to the backend. We're not yet connected. Remember in our backend code, that's your settings.py file over here. Remember we have this part called calls allowed origins. So these are the list of domains that can access the backend, right? These are a list of domains. So right now we have a new front-end domain. So we have to add that new domain to this list. So just copy this domain, or you can go over here. There's the domain also. Just copy it. Get it copied. Copy and then head over to your backend code, over to your settings.py file. You're going to add this live front-end URL. It must be there. So we have added this now. So what you have to do now is simply go over. Right now you have to make another push again to the backend. I'm going to say git add, and then git commits. I'll just say added live front-end URL. And I'll say git push origin main. So right now we're trying to push back to right now we're trying to push again to GitHub. Right now we're pushing for the backend, right? Because we made the right now that's because we made a change to our backend code. So back to GitHub. So click on over to your profile over to your profile picture, click on it and then click on your repositories. Okay, so we are here now, and here's our backend code. I think it's done deploying. It's done deploying, right? So over to render for the backend parts. Remember, here's our backend session. Here's the front end. So I had to open two different browsers, two different tabs on my browser to differentiate the backend and then the front end. So yeah, so right now we're on here's the backend now, the Folio API. So you have to right now I have to simply bring my changes. I want to simply bring it back. And I think it happens automatically by itself. So I think so let's see. I'm not sure if it is done deploying. So render now, whenever I push to GitHub, it will simply deploy again. If you push to GitHub, it deploys again. Right now, I'm trying to confirm if it's actually deployed again. Well, how do we confirm? I think it did deploy. I think I think it deployed again. So back here, right now, you can see deployed again. Right now, we are now able to fetch our data from the backend. Right now, we are now able to connect to the backend, right? So after making that push to GitHub, render out to redeploy again the code that we made, the push that we made. Understand? So we have to add the front end URL to this list. So that way our backend and front end can communicate. They can communicate with each other. You can see now the backend code is working fine. You can see we have everything fine again. But there was a slight issue. If I refresh the page from here, if I refresh, you can see now it's returned not found. So how do we avoid this now? So whenever you refresh the page from the browser, it returns this not found. How do we fix this? It's simple. Back to your front end, back to your front end section on render, back to it. Currently, this is our front end. Our front end is the static site, while the back end is the web service. So back to the front end now. Just scroll down where we have this redirects. Click on it. So click on add rule. So over here, we're going to just pick /, then the asterisk, and over here we're going to select index. Then we're going to select /index.html, and there is a drop down here. Click on it, and then click on rewrite, and then click on save changes. It has been saved, right? So back here, back to the code, refresh again. Perfect. Because so now it's back now. So whenever you add refresh your page, you're not going to see that. Yeah, you won't see that not found error again. You won't. Understand? So right now we just deployed our web apps to the cloud. We deployed the backend. We also deployed the front end. They are both live on render, and this application can be accessed from anywhere you are in the world. Understand? So this series has been a long one. It has been exciting, and I'm super sure you all will learn a lot if you follow the series from the beginning till the end. You definitely will learn something new. And this project we have here, this project we have is portfolio worthy. You can have it in your portfolio and apply for a job as a front-end developer, as a back-end developer, as a full-stack developer. Understand? So I really hope you enjoyed this series. So if you did, support your boy by subscribing, like the video. You can also share with your friends. So we've come to the end of the Django and React full stack series. So hopefully we are going to see again in another exciting tutorial. So thank you for watching. Stay blessed and bye-bye.